Hello and welcome to #Friday Sews. My name is Carole. So this is a chat about sewing or whatever we've been up to, and a tiny bit about life, catching up on the week that we've had. As you can see, I am not in my sewing room this week. I'm actually down at the holiday home, which is the other side of Dorset. Look at the colour of that sea today. Isn't that just amazing? I'll go back to what we've been up to this week, but this is #Friday Sews. So apart from saying thank you so much to Jen for starting #Friday Sews 3.5 years ago. Lovely Jen, today in Jen's sewing room. Please check out her channel and all the other channels. She's just tipped over the 18,000 subscriber mark, which is amazing. So what have I been sewing this week? Something I started before I left and came back was a dressing gown, as I would call it. A lot of people would call it a robe. So I used a unisex pattern, and yet again I have to say unisex patterns just don't suit smaller people, definitely not shorter people, but shorter ladies like myself, they're just enormous. But I'll show you what I've actually made. The pattern I used was Simplicity 1563, a really old pattern. I've used it for, I think, pyjama bottoms before, maybe a top, sleeveless top, but I used it for the robe. Now, I used the extra small. So it says from bust to chest measurements 30 to 32. Well, I'm bigger than that. Hip sizes, I'm way bigger than that. So I'm glad I didn't go any larger. But I have to say, I took 4 inches off the length. I took 2.5 inches off each sleeve. It's still quite big, but it does the job. But what I didn't do is think about the fact I've taken 4 inches off the length meant it's going to be really long. So maybe the pockets will have to sit somewhere different. Completely forgot about that, but there we go. Now, the fabric I used was a fabric I'd had in my fabric stash for a long time because I really didn't know what to do with it. It escaped the fabric wheel of fate quite a few times, actually, nearly went on there. But actually, it was the most perfect fabric for what I wanted. It was, I want to say a French terry, but if I said French terry to you, you'd think of something quite stable. Well, this wasn't. It's very drapey and soft. The actual sort of loops in the inside are almost silky like. So it had a very silky feel. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now, of course, me being me, didn't have enough fabric to do this because I very rarely buy over 2 meters of anything. So I'm not going to have enough for a robe. I hadn't even thought about that, especially with the long facings that you've got to put on. So what did I do? I managed to find in my stash some pink French terry, proper French terry, which I bought to make my granddaughter. I think I made her a little sweatshirt out of, had loads left. So I know it looks a bit sort of Frankenstein, but I didn't think it went too bad. So I used that for the facings. It's not too bad, is it? It kind of highlights it a little bit. It actually sewed up quite nicely. I thought I was going to get all twisty and bendy when I was doing the top stitch, but actually that's not bad. And if I can, I will find somewhere that I can model this for you. But if not, I'm just going to hold it up because it's a robe, isn't it? I have to say, so the pockets are way down below my waist. I've almost got to put my hands in like that. But even with 2.5 inches off each sleeve, it still sort of comes down to my wrist, which is fine. It's a robe. But I absolutely love wearing it. Now, I don't often wear my dressing gown at home because it's one of those big, chunky dressing gowns. And that's kind of what I thought about dressing gowns. I've never really thought I would need something lighter weight, but I thought it would be perfect for keeping down here. I'm absolutely sold now on having a lightweight dressing gown, and I know a lot of you probably wear them way more than me, but I'm one of these people that kind of gets up in the morning and wants to get dressed straight away. I don't sort of have breakfast in pajamas or things like that. I like to get up and dressed. So, but this I absolutely love, and I felt all fancy. I sat in, I was drying my hair in it, and I really feel fancy wearing it, which is ridiculous, I know, but there we go. So what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be making another one of these, of course. Will I use this pattern again? Yeah, probably, because it's an easy pattern and I have it rather than buying something different. But obviously I've made all the changes, being much shorter. I will now raise the pockets so I don't have this issue again, and obviously buy more fabric in the beginning to make it. But I really like this. So that is what I started and kind of finished off when we were down here. Now I must just say, I hope the sound is okay, because I haven't got my microphone with me and I haven't got any lighting. So goodness knows what I look like, but just thought I'd say that. The other thing that I've sewn this week, which was a lot easier to sew when I was down here, was this cushion cover. Now this was a pattern that came with my Fat Quarter subscription box, called the Arrowheads Patchwork Cushion Project. Now, probably, as I say every week, I'm not a quilter, but I would say Arrowheads is probably a term for a block. I would imagine it's kind of one of these blocks, whatever you call them. But it was a cushion cover. Now, originally when I got these fabrics, I absolutely loved these fabrics, but it wouldn't have suited any room in our house. But so I was going to make it with different fabrics. But actually I thought, no, have a go, make this. And what I will do is actually just keep it in my sewing room, because it's going to be a very special cushion. So I cut all the pieces before I left and I've made it up. Well, this is just the front, because I didn't bring any zips with me, so I can't finish it. So that is what I made. Oh, you can see the light through it, as the light's behind me. Now, as you can see, this is the fur trim, so I've only basted it on at the moment, and you're just going to have to use your imagination. But hey, wouldn't that make a brilliant top? Apart from that, yeah, that was it. I enjoyed doing this, as I often do, because I love piecing things together, but what I would never want to attempt is a massive quilt. But so that will be hopefully finished when I get home. The fabrics that came with it are just delicious. I know that's the wrong word to use for fabrics, but quite autumnal actually, and I'm thinking I'll probably back it with that one there. But yeah, that to be finished when I get home. I had planned to make some taco pouches when I came down here, and I brought the fabrics, forgot the zips and forgot any batting or any stabilisation, so I haven't been able to do that. So I haven't done a great deal of sewing this week, have I? But it has been a holiday. The other thing that I brought down was a crochet kit. A couple of weeks ago, I picked up a crochet kit in TK Maxx. Really loved it. Then just happened to be in Hobbycraft and I came across this one. I'm sorry, that's just adorable. I have a granddaughter and it's a bunny, and I really thought it'd be perfect to give her for Easter. Now, I used to crochet things like this, amigurumi, however you say it, all the time for my grandsons when they were small, and I hadn't really done much in a few years. But I enjoyed doing the little doggy I did a couple of weeks ago, so I thought I'd have a go at this. I have to say, I am so disappointed in Hobbycraft for these kits. Now, Hobbycraft is our kind of department store for lots of crafting things. It's a very small sort of baby version of Hobby Lobby in the US. But I thought this would be perfect. And yes, it had everything in it, but the amount of wool they provided, I say wool, I mean thread, cotton thread. When I got it out, it was this tiny ball, and I thought, is that going to be enough? Sure enough, it wasn't. And the only way I found that was when I was finished doing the last ear. I was short, the ear was short by that much. I was absolutely gutted. I went online to see what other people had said, and a lot of them said that they had run out of thread as well, and they'd been into Hobbycraft, but they had nothing to match it try as they might. So I didn't know what to do. I was very depressed last night. But then I thought they had given you some pink to make the hairband, but they gave you quite a bit of pink. So what I did was finish one of the ears off in pink. Now I'm going to show you this. This is really sweet. So here she is. So this poor little bunny has got a little bit of pink on its ear, because that was the only way. You see, that's how much I was short. That's the only way I could finish it off. So it's got this lovely little hairband with this bow. Isn't that just adorable? Part of me, being a sewist, feels it needs clothes. It just maybe a little skirt or something. I might do that because she looks a bit naked. But obviously bunnies are, because they're animals. But I feel like I want to make a little skirt when I go home. But I did have fun doing it. It's just such a shame about the pink ear. But actually, I think it's given it a little bit of character. So it does look, you see, it does look like the box. So I did do it right. So I don't know whether I crochet a little bit larger, therefore I use more thread. But to me, that worked out about right. But I think they were just stingy on the thread they gave. So that's my little bunny this week. One more thing to show you is actually picked up a pattern last week. This is a pattern that one of my lovely viewers kind of drew my attention to, and it's actually spot on for me. Simplicity 9923, I'm guessing it's a new pattern. 2024, so last year. This is me, isn't it? This is me to a T, these trousers. So you've got the sort of the wide leg, the jeans with that front pocket that I love so much. You've got a pair of shorts there. I'm not keen on these wide leg shorts. I don't think they'd look very good on me, but you could certainly use that and kind of tailor it down. They are a fly front. I don't mind doing fly fronts. I find them easier than doing rows and rows of buttonholes, to be honest. But it's got kind of interesting seam here, if you can see. And there is an interesting seam along the bottom of the trousers. So thank you, whoever suggested this to me, brought my attention to it. But that's a great new pattern I'm going to try. Be nice in kind of a linen, wouldn't it, really, like that one. See, that's me. That's me, isn't it? So what the other thing we're planning to do, so I'm filming this on Thursday, as I normally do. Tomorrow's Friday, and it's actually meant to be rainy. 25 minutes down the road from here is Beyond the Pink Door fabric shop, and they open on a Thursday and Friday. So as the weather won't be very good tomorrow, hopefully we might pop down there. It's near the town of Dorchester, which has got lots to do anyway, so we may tie that in with other stuff. But obviously if I do go down to Beyond the Pink Door, I will put a teeny bit of footage or some pictures in at the end. But I will, maybe I'll keep that for next week. But that means next week I may have a little bit of a fabric haul to show you. Just before I left, I had ordered some pieces of fabric here and there, sort of thinking ahead to spring and summer. So I may have a teeny little bit of fabric haul for you next week. Of course, I've got to say a massive thank you for anyone that watched my video that I put out this week. It was a very different video for me, and I was really nervous to put it out because I thought I'd get a lot of backlash and comments about the amount of patterns I had. I know I have a lot of patterns, but what I have to say is I've probably been collecting those patterns my whole sewing life. So I've been sewing since I was sort of 8, 9, 10, sewing patterns since sort of teenage years. So a lot of those patterns go back all the way. Also, I used to have 2 sewing magazines a month for a good few years, and you get 2-3 patterns a month with them each. So that's about 5-6 patterns. So that's kind of how the pattern stash built up. Then, of course, about 5-6 years ago, I started watching Viv Mom Sewing, and that is when my garment sewing took off to a different level, because I would sit with a piece of paper when I watched her videos and her monthly makes and just be writing down numbers and getting those patterns. And I'm sure, well, I know a lot of you did the same. So, but thank you so much for being so kind. I had no negative comments about all the patterns I have. So that's fantastic. I wanted to do a count up and see how many I had, because I thought I had way more than I did, and I was very surprised. If you haven't seen that video, I will put the link down below. Although I kind of spoilt the ending now, but it was really interesting thing to do, and I'm glad you all appreciated it. So next week's sewing will be something for my daughter for her birthday, which is the following weekend. And the following weekend for us also is Mother's Day. So I better make sure I've got something to give my mum for Mother's Day. Hope she's not watching this. Yeah, so that will keep me busy sewing next week. And of course, quite often I feel because we've had lovely weather at the moment, I feel I want to be starting making some more t-shirts and things like that, because I did a massive clear out a couple of months ago of all my t-shirts. So want to start getting some spring stuff. I'm in the mood. So as you can see, we've been down here this week. We have had a lovely week. The weather has been dry. It has been at times absolutely freezing with an easterly wind, but it's been dry, which has been perfect walking conditions, because you know we love to do some walking. It meant that even the muddiest parts were kind of dry. So we've done some fantastic walks. We did venture down to Dartmoor. That's about an hour and a quarter away from here. Dartmoor is quite a remote sort of moor area. Lots of tors on it, which are sort of piles of stones. We did a fantastic walk down there. Hilarious thing it's very exposed. So it was cold. So I had woolly hats, gloves, hood, you know, full-on coats and everything. We were loving the walk, and my son rang me from Kent, the other side of the country, and he said, "Are you having the weather we are?" And I said, "Yes, it's lovely and sunny." He said, "No, I'm in a t-shirt and sunglasses," and he sent me this picture of him in a t-shirt and sunglasses, and I sent him this picture back, which was us fully dressed up to the nines. So the other side of the country, and I know we're on Dartmoor, so it is remote up there, but yeah, that's how different our weather was and what we were wearing compared to him. Right, I'm going to round it up for this week, because I want to go out in that weather, because I'm going to do some book reading today. I've decided to sit in the sun. Bit of excitement. As you can see, this is a campsite across the road, and as you can see, they're putting some new fancy pods in this week at the top there. So we've had the binoculars out. We've had a great time watching them be delivered by crane this week. So that's going to be interesting to see as we go through the year how they build that bit up there. Thank you so much for joining me. A little bit of a different one today. Apologies for the lighting and the sound, but I do hope you enjoyed me catching up with you and showing what I've been up to this week. Thank you so much for all my subscribers, all my viewers. You're always also kind. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Whatever you get up to, happy sewing. Goodbye for now.